Hey there, welcome back to my channel where I dive into the wildest, most jaw-dropping stories. Today, I'm unpacking a tale called, Tonight I Learned My Wife's Been Unfaithful. So this is about me. I'm 35, my wife's 34, and we've been married for 3 years, together for 6. Over the past 6 months, we've been butting heads more than usual, though it wasn't anything too intense, just petty stuff. Back in the day, we barely argued. But last fall, my wife was super stressed at work, and that sparked a few spats, which didn't help. She floated the idea of seeing a therapist, which I found odd since our issues didn't seem that deep. So I brushed it off and suggested she go alone, thinking her work stress was the real problem. Looking back, maybe that was a bit selfish, but if we're arguing nonstop and she's pushing for therapy, it felt like she was trying to fix something I didn't see as broken. That probably caused some tension. But it doesn't justify what she did next. We'd also been trying to have a baby for over a year with no luck, which piled on even more stress for both of us. For the past year or so, she kept mentioning this guy from work who she said was a big Prince fan like her, and they connected over music. When a woman starts name-dropping another guy, it's a warning sign, like she's hinting at a backup plan if I don't meet her expectations. I didn't think much of it until last year, when she casually mentioned he asked her to check out vinyl records with him during lunch. Then, around the same time, he invited her to a museum. I told her it was weird to hang out with a male coworker on Friday nights, but she pushed back, saying he's just a friendly guy with a kid and a family. Like, sure, because no married guy has ever stepped out on his spouse, right? She tried to make me feel like I was paranoid for even questioning her trust. They were apparently hitting up record stores and geeking out over vintage vinyl or whatever. Fast forward to this year, and we've had more arguments. Since January, I noticed she's been glued to her phone, texting way more than usual. When I asked who she was chatting with, she said it was her friend Lisa. Keep that in mind for later. I also picked up on a subtle shift in her vibe around January. She seemed extra stressed, didn't want to talk much, and was blasting a ton of quirky music. It felt like she was mentally checking out, and in my head, things were great until we got married. Meanwhile, she kept raving about all these new bands she was into. Back in January, something weird happened that stuck with me. My wife bailed early from a friend's baby shower, claiming she was exhausted, which was totally out of character for her. It started feeling like she was avoiding spending time with me, like she'd rather be anywhere else. More red flags kept popping up. She was constantly chatting about this other guy from work, trying to hang out with him. And I should have put a stop to it right away. She was always on her phone, dipping out of events early. It was all adding up. Then, she had the nerve to ask if she could go to the movies with that male coworker on a Saturday night to see some band they both liked. No way was I okay with her going out with another guy like that. I don't hang out with other women, period. But I couldn't exactly say no without looking like a hypocrite, since I grabbed coffee with an old female friend from school back in January when I was visiting home, and my wife knew about it. That was a dumb move on my part, because it gave her an excuse to justify her plans. Still, the idea of her meeting up with this guy was eating at me constantly. I brought it up a few times, pointing out how strange it was for a married woman to be asked out on a Saturday night, especially since it wasn't the first time this guy had done it. I was ready to confront him and lay down some ground rules with my wife, but she just brushed it off, saying everyone at her company is super friendly, and it was only a movie. This doesn't even feel like it could be in the US. They kept calling it the cinema, which sounds so fancy. She even claimed she'd try to invite other co-workers, so it wouldn't just be the two of them. But yeah, right. On the day of the movie, she casually mentioned that the other colleagues couldn't make it, so it was just her and this guy. How convenient. The next day was my buddy's birthday party, and surprise, she didn't show up. By this point, I was getting serious bad vibes, like something was off. But I couldn't put my finger on it. Her behavior was so distant and strange, like she was a different person. I brought up the whole coworker situation again, and she flipped out, accusing me of being some jealous control freak. That word dictator gets thrown around a lot these days, doesn't it? We weren't even spending quality time together anymore, and even though we'd been trying for a baby, That part of our relationship had pretty much fizzled out. She checked out completely. And yeah, I messed up by not taking her seriously when she suggested therapy earlier. But that doesn't excuse what she was doing. She swore up and down that this guy wasn't making any moves on her and that I was blowing it out of proportion, acting like some paranoid weirdo. She doubled down on the therapy idea, saying we clearly couldn't communicate well. Things escalated into a huge fight with yelling, and I ended up storming out. I did agree to see a therapist as soon as possible, but honestly, it felt like it was too late to fix things. What a mess. That night, I got home from my friend's birthday party, and she was already asleep. I climbed into bed but couldn't sleep, just staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I'm not proud of what I did next, and I know it's not cool, but I decided to check her phone. I'll own that mistake. I know some folks might judge me for snooping, but when there's this much suspicious behavior, I don't think it's wrong to look for answers. If the roles were reversed and I was acting shady, I wouldn't blame a good partner for checking my phone either. So, I opened her WhatsApp and saw a chat with her friend where they were clearly talking about me. She was saying she felt scared of me because I'd yelled louder than usual during our fight. She even mentioned needing to save space and shared an emergency phone number. It's wild how the world works now. If there's a heated argument and a guy raises his voice, suddenly he's unsafe, and it's a whole thing. Meanwhile, she'd given me plenty of reasons to be upset. I was floored, especially since I've never laid a hand on her or even thought about it. I had no idea what kind of stories she was spinning about me to her friend. It felt like she was setting the stage to justify her own actions. Then I opened her texts with Lisa and started scrolling. At first, it was all about music, but then I stumbled across messages where Lisa was commenting on my wife's appearance at the office, specifically her figure. As I scrolled through the texts, I stumbled across a message where Lisa was complimenting my wife's figure, saying something like her outfit made her look amazing. My wife replied with something flirty in return, and I was left wondering if Lisa was actually a woman or if it was that male co-worker hiding behind a fake name. There were more messages like that, and by then, my heart was pounding, my hands were trembling, and I felt like I was going to be sick. The shock hit me so hard it made my stomach churn, and I couldn't even focus on the other texts. I was just overwhelmed with nausea. In a moment of raw emotion, I started yelling about what she'd done, which woke her up. I left her phone out in the open, but screaming at her in the middle of the night, startling her in bed, probably made things worse. She was already painting me as the bad guy. Almost right away, she admitted to it, tears streaming down her face, claiming she just enjoyed the attention. Here came the waterworks, the classic sob story about craving validation. But let's be real. She wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. She insisted it was only harmless flirting, nothing more, and admitted it was dumb, even saying she probably wouldn't forgive me if the roles were reversed. It felt like she had this whole defense rehearsed. We talked, or more like I interrogated her, for about 3 hours, trying to piece together when it started, and if it went beyond flirting. The kicker? My wife travels to other cities for work every other week, and I started connecting the dots, fearing the worst. She swore up and down there was no physical affair, claiming she'd only been texting this guy for 3 weeks, and they hadn't even kissed. Not even at the movies the day before. All along, she'd made me feel like I was crazy for being suspicious about this guy. But my gut was right. She'd been deceiving me the whole time, and now it was clear this marriage wasn't working. We've only been married 3 years. We've been struggling to start a family with no luck. And with all the fighting, drama, and now this betrayal, it's time to walk away. I pushed her to show me the texts to prove her story, but she flat out refused. After a lot of back and forth, she admitted this guy was planning to visit the same city as her in 3 weeks for work and had suggested they grab dinner, but she claimed nothing would have happened. I wasn't buying it. Her refusal to show the text spoke volumes. If she was truly sorry, she'd be an open book, letting me see everything to rebuild trust. But she was hiding something, and that dinner plan sounded like a date to me. She kept apologizing, saying sorry over and over, but her tears didn't feel genuine. After all the lies I'd already uncovered, I couldn't tell if she was still playing me. Her refusal to share the texts made me certain there was more I hadn't seen, probably worse than I could imagine. Those tears might tug at the heartstrings, but they weren't enough to erase the deception. How could she comment on a co-worker's appearance like that without some prior flirtation or encounters? There had to be more to the story, and her secrecy only confirmed it. I was tempted to demand she show me every single text, or else we were done, but part of me wondered if that's what she wanted. An easy way out. At this point, I'm not even sure why I'm sharing this on Reddit, but I guess I just needed to vent and get some outside perspectives. Here's the kicker. My 3 previous relationships ended because my girlfriends cheated on me, and I broke things off. Now, after 5 years with my wife, I'm staring down the same betrayal. It's rough, and while I know cheating happens a lot, I can't help but wonder if I'm doing something that pushes women away, or if I'm just drawn to the wrong type of person. Maybe my behavior turns them off, or I'm attracting people who are prone to this kind of thing. It's easy to call them the bad guys, and they are, but I have to wonder if there's something about me that's contributing to this pattern. A guy with a big heart might try to forgive and move forward, but after all this, I'm not sure I've got it in me. Part of me wonders if a naive guy could forgive and move forward, but deep down, I know I'd be stuck in a constant state of unease, always questioning what's really going on. How can I be sure she's just chatting with coworkers at the office? What's she up to on those work trips to other cities? When she says she's meeting a friend, is it actually that friend? We own a house together, which we'd have to sell if we split up, and we've got a ton of travel plans lined up for the year. Flights, weddings, concerts, you name it. I'm at a total loss about what to do next, and I could really use some advice. None of my buddies have been through anything like this, thankfully, so I don't even know who to turn to. This whole situation is a massive mess, and it's clear it's not going to work out. Her refusal to show me those texts says it all, especially after she gaslit me, calling me a controlling jerk when I knew something was off. She's probably going to pin it all on me, saying I was too overbearing, yelling too much, or refusing therapy, just to justify her actions. Later, I shared an update about how things were going. I was blown away by all the supportive messages and private notes from folks. It meant a lot, even though I was too overwhelmed to reply as I tried to wrap my head around everything. I urged my wife to come clean to her parents first, and while she didn't outright refuse, she insisted we talk more that evening, which made me wonder if she was just stalling. She also pushed for us to see a therapist together on Friday to see if it could salvage things. It feels like she wants to stay married because I'm stable and provide for her. But she's still chasing excitement on the side until she finds someone else to sweep her away. I'm torn about whether therapy's even worth it at this point. I tracked down the guy on LinkedIn and asked her if it was him, and she completely lost it, freaking out about what I planned to do. It was telling. She seemed more worried about me finding this guy than about our marriage falling apart. Her panic suggested she was terrified I'd confront him or spill the beans. I told her I wouldn't reach out to him, his HR department, or his wife, but I pointed out that his wife probably deserves to know he's acting shady. She was horrified at the thought, which showed she cared more about protecting him than about me, her own husband. I floated the idea that if we somehow stayed together, she'd need to quit her job, and she hated that, arguing that if I left her later, she'd be stuck without a job in a rough economy. If we divorced, I'd likely be paying alimony anyway. So her concern seemed like a weak excuse. I'm within my rights to demand she leave that job and to contact that guy and his wife. Her actions scream that she's not trustworthy. In a later update, I posted separately that I'm done with her, under a title like, "My wife cheated, what's next?" I explained that my wife's infidelity has me looking into divorce options. I shared details in my earlier posts, but basically, we have a house with about 65% loan-to-value, and I've put in roughly $55,000 more than her. We don't share much else. Our pensions are separate, and we don't have kids. I never imagined I'd be in this position, so I'm trying to figure out where to start and what to consider. To clarify, we're not technically married, but in a civil partnership, though I've been referring to it as marriage. Either way, this relationship is doomed. The story cut off abruptly, but I'm sure there'll be more updates. I'm sharing this to highlight the kind of nonsense that goes down in relationships. Denial, deception, the works. It's over for me, and my advice to myself is to talk to a few lawyers to explore my options. Meeting with multiple attorneys means she can't hire them, and since our civil partnership is relatively short and we have no kids, it shouldn't be too complicated, no matter what country we're in. You can't stay with someone who breaks your trust like that. It's just too much. Trust is the foundation of any good relationship, and once it's gone, it's game over. She's brought this on herself, and we're both young enough to move on and start fresh. So why stay miserable? That's all for now, folks. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you in the next one.